go to our next question. It's from Jennifer Smith.
Good evening. I'm really delighted to have somebody with lived experience on the panel. I, like many people in the audience, come from a family where we have mental health issues that are broadly experienced, and I have many friends with mental health issues. One of the greatest problems that they face, probably almost universally, is that of stigma. And Louise, I'd like to ask you, if you wouldn't mind, if you could recommend one particular thing to family members who are trying to counter that stigma, and sometimes we ourselves experience that as well, what might that be? And what would it take to help overcome that stigma?
Louise Byrne.
I think if I was going to say one thing, I would say try not to be fearful. And I know that that's a big call because you're afraid for the person that you love. You're afraid about what's going to happen in their future and what their future prospects are going to be now that they're having this experience. But I would say hold on to hope, believe in them, and genuinely do that as much as you possibly can. I think if you're unafraid, or if you can attempt to be unafraid as much of the time as possible, then you're giving them a very different message from what they're getting a lot of the time from mainstream press or from old concepts of mental illnesses. Pat was mentioning before, you're letting them know that you believe that it's just a period of time for them, part of a normal, natural human experience rather than the life sentence that we've considered sometimes mental health issues to be. So yeah, I think just believe in them, have hope.
How does your lived experience, how does that inform what you're thinking and saying to people now?
It's the fundamental, it's the basis of everything that I do. In terms of stigma for me, the most stigmatizing stuff is when people hide, when they want to run away, when they can't they can't hear or they can't see where I've come from. I think
people hide from you mean? Or,
well, they want to hide.
Or hide from illness.
Yeah, just hide from the conversation. I guess it's like what happens for me a lot, and this is unusual. But you meet someone. It's like, hey, how are you going? So what do you do? For a living, and so I then have to explain what I do for a living. And in explaining what I do for a living, I have to disclose that I've had significant mental health challenges, which is an unusual position to be in when you're first meeting someone. And it makes you quite vulnerable, obviously, to attitudes of stigma or fear. And so, yeah, I see it when people sort of shut it down and they shut me out. If the conversation ends abruptly, if they change the subject abruptly, that kind of stuff, it makes me feel other. It makes me feel significantly different than them, and like that maybe there's something wrong with the fact that I just told them what my job is,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
get it all the time.
Yeah.